Hello, this is Lucas, and in this video I'm going to be going over arrays in JavaScript. So an array is basically just a list of elements. Okay, so for example, let's say we have a let, and we can have something like names. So we can have a list of names. Now in here we can actually declare. Well, I mean, this is just an empty list. Okay, there's nothing inside of here. You can create an empty list like this as well. Okay, this is an empty list as well. It's a list, but it's empty. Okay, there's none in there. But we can actually add stuff into the list. So for example, we can create a list, it's called names. And then we can just add some names in here, like, I don't know, like Peter, John. And then we'll also add in, Mike. Okay, so we have a list of names and we have 3 elements inside of that list. We can print out each element. Well, I mean, we can print out the entire list first, just by doing names. Okay, so we can do names, or if we want to specify a certain index inside of our list, we'll do names, and then in the square brackets we'll have to specify the index. So the very first element in our list is 0. Okay, the second one is 1, and then the third one is 2. Okay, so it starts off as 0 and then it moves up, alright? It does not start off at 1. This is 1. Okay? And then we can see, you can go to our console, refresh this. You can see we get the entire list by printing out names. And then we only get Peter by specifying index 0, which is the very first element. Okay? We can set, so we can set some elements as well. So what we can do is we can do names 0. We can equal this to something else. I don't know, we can do something like Tom. Okay, and then we can print this out again after. Go back to our page. You can see firstly it was Peter. Okay, our very first index, it was Peter. Then we changed it to Tom, and now you can see once we print it out, it is Tom. So that's how we can change elements inside of an array. Let's say that we want to get what the size of the array is. Well, let's just remove this. We don't need this anymore. Let's say that we want to get the size of our names array. Well, all we have to do is we just do the name of our array, names dot length, and this simply will just print out the size of our array, which you can see it's 3 because we have 3 elements inside of our array. Now arrays, arrays can get very complex if you really look at it. So I'm gonna do one example. This isn't ideal. You shouldn't really do this. I mean, you can, but let's just have a look. We can have complete different data types inside of our list in JavaScript. In other languages, array can only consist of the same data type. So you can only have an array of strings or an array of ints. But you can't have an array of ints and strings. JavaScript is different. You can have anything that you want inside this list. So you can see firstly we have a string. Okay, I can add another one. I can add a int. Okay, so I'll just do 21. Right, that's an int. I can have an object. Okay, so we can just create an object in here. We can do something like I don't know. We'll do name. Okay, we'll do name. His name is John. And then we can have another one. We just separate it with that way, comma. We can have age. Let's say he's 54. You can see we have a string in here. We have an int in here, and now we also have an object in here. Okay, but that's not it. You can also add in let's say we add in a boolean as well. We can have a boolean in here, and then finally we can also have a function. Yes, we can have a function inside of our array. Usually you can't do this with other languages, okay, but JavaScript is amazing, so that's why we can. So we can create a function just like I'm doing here, okay, just like this. Okay, we have a function. We don't actually have to give the name of the function because the name of the function is just the index that is in this array. Okay, so you can see this is index 0, this is index 1, this object is index 2. This boolean is is index 3, and then this function is object 4. So if we want to call this function, all we have to do is just call index 4 of this array. Okay, and then we can have something like, I don't know, we'll just do like a console dot log, and then we'll just log, I don't know, hello. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how we can actually call every single index. So I showed you how we can call this one. It's just a basic console.log, do names and 0. Okay, so this will just print out whatever the first value is inside of this array. So it will just print out Peter. Same thing with this value, and same thing with the boolean. Okay, object and the function a little bit different, not too different though. So we'll do a console.log. So now we need to see what index is in. Okay, so this is index 0, this is index 1. Okay, this object is index 2. So we just call it index 2. Okay. So firstly, let's remove this. We don't need this. We know that's just going to print out Peter. So if we just leave it like this, so we are just printing out this object. And if we print out an object, I mean that's just going to print out an object. So if you want to specify an actual value for this, well, all we have to do is we have to do dot and whatever key we want. So we have name and age. So let's say we just do age, just for example. Now we will actually print out the actual age, 54. Okay, because we are pointing to the second index, or index 2, which is this object, and then we are printing out age of that object, which is 54. Okay, just simple as that. Now let's say if we want to, with the function now, basically the same way, we do names. So it's this array, and then what index is it in? So let's see, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. This is 3. Okay, so this is 4. Okay, so this function is in the 4th index, so we just do 4. Now, because this is a function, we will just add these brackets in here like this. Okay, just because it's a function, we'll have to do it like this, and this will just call this function here, which will just print out hello, and you will see, we just get hello. Simple as that. Alright, but let's go back to the simpler terms. Let's say we just have just a few names. We have Tom, and then we have Bob. Okay. Let's say that I want to get. Let's say we don't know the size of our list or our array. Let's just say we don't know the size of it. Okay, and I want to get the very last value of our list. I mean, firstly, to get the very first value, I mean, it's pretty simple. We just do 0, okay? And that will just get the very first value. But let's say we don't know what the length of our array is, and we want to get the very last value. Well, then instead of 0, we'll do names.length. This will just get the length of the entire array. So now we actually know the entire length of the array. So let's say if it's 3, okay? So then let's say it's 3. Okay. So this is 3. But then to get the very last one, we do -1 over here. And then instead of this being 3, it's going to be 2. And what is 2? Well, this is 0, this is 1, and this is the second index. So this is how we can get the very last element of our array, just like this. And you can see we get Bob. There is another way of doing this as well. Now let's remove this part. We can do the name of our array dot at -1. This will also print out the very last element of our array. So there's 2 ways of doing it. Completely up to you the way that you want to do it. For me, I'll use this way. Just a bit less code to write. So now we are going to be going over there are 4 ways, or there are 4 methods in an array that we can use. So we have the pop, we have the push, we have the shift, and we have the unshift. I'm going to go through all of them just for the last part of this video. So push just appends an element to the end of the array. Okay, then we have shift. Shift just gets an element from the very beginning of our array, and then it advances the queue, so the second element just becomes the first. Okay, so just it removes the first element, then it pushes all of the other elements. So let's say if we remove this element, and then we push these elements 1 up. So because this doesn't exist, okay, this is index 0, we remove index 0, So then that means index 1 has to become index 0, index 2 has to become index 1, and so on, depending on the size of your array. And then there's two more. There's push and pop. Well, push, another thing it does is it just adds an element to the end. Okay, that's all that does. And then pop just takes an element from the end. Okay, I'm going to go through all of them now, so don't worry about it. So let's say we have this array here, or this one here. Then let's say we want to remove the, we want to remove the very last element. Okay, this one here. Right, so what we do is we do names dot pop. Okay. And what this will do is, I don't know why I'm printing this. Let's not print this. Actually, we should print it, because then you'll actually see what happens. Then let's say we do console.log, and then we just print down names. So let's see what happens. So we go to our console. You can see here we are doing names.pop, which gets the very last element, and then we are just printing whatever the element is, because whenever we do .pop, it returns. Well, firstly, it removes the last element, but then it returns the last element. And then because we are printing the return, we print out Bob. But because it got removed, I then printed out names, and you can see that Bob no longer exists in that array. So that's how we can remove an element from the very end of our array. But let's say we want to add an element to the very end of our array. So instead of pop, we do push. Okay, and then we need to pass in a value that we want to add. So I don't know, let's add in Harry to our list. Let's go for it. Refresh this, and now you can see we have a new, okay, we have a new element added, which is Harry. Okay, so that's how we can remove and add elements from the very end of our array. But let's say we want to do it from the very start of our array. Well, then we can use, instead of pop and push, we will be using shift. Okay, so we go with shift. And let's just print this out. We can see what happens. Shift, boom, we get Peter. And then we get 2. Yeah. So basically shift, as I said before, it will remove the very first element, and it will return that element. And then that's why we can print out Peter here, because we are removing the first element, and then because it's returned, we print it out. And then what happens here is, once it's removed, these elements have to fill in this spot. Okay, so this is our very first element, but because we remove our first element, there's nothing on index 0, but there has to be a value on the very first index. So then we just move these ones over by one place. So index 1 becomes index 0, and index 2 becomes index 1. Okay? And then we print it out, and you can see we only have Tom and Bob. Okay? Now we can actually add as well to the very start. So instead of doing shift, well, we can just do unshift, and then we can pass in as a parameter some kind of name, which I will do, I don't know, let's see, we do Luke. Print this out. You can see now Luke is added to the very start of our array. Now it is possible to add multiple of them at once. So let's say that we have only one element in our array. Okay, so let's say we want to firstly add some values to the very start of our array. So let's say we have Luke, and then what we can do is separate it with a comma. We can then just add Bob. Okay, so this will just add 2 elements now to the very start of our array. Okay, so we had Peter. Okay, and now we add Luke and Bob. And we can do the exact same thing. We can do, we don't need the log, so let's just do that. And then we can do names dot push. And then we can also add in, what names do we want? We want Tom to be in our list, and then we also want John to be in our list. We have John, we don't have John, okay, we're adding John. And just like this, you will now see that we have added Tom and John to the end of our array. So we can add multiple elements to the start and to the end of our arrays. A thing to know as well, so let's say we have an array here, and then we create a copy or a reference of that array. I don't know, I'm just going to do AR for or ARR for an array. We equal this to names. So we're not creating a copy here. Okay, we're not creating a copy. We're just creating a reference. So R is going to be a reference to Peter. So for example, if we do R dots and we just push a name into here, let's say we push in Luke, okay, but then we do console.log names, you can see we haven't actually pushed anything into names, we pushed it into array. So if you go back into here, you can see that Luke is added either way because array is just a reference to name. So if we change anything in array, names will change as well. Okay. Okay, so that's basically it for this video on arrays. Hope this video was helpful. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.